Yo, what it do, YouTube? It's Matt Omega, back with another topic that I'm hoping inspires real conversation and not toxic bullshit, since it seems like that's all the topic becomes on Twitter. But today, we're talking about live service games, or much rather, how is it that every live service game ends up falling flat on its face? To start with, you gotta establish what a live service game even is, and that's pretty easy. It's a game, online connectivity features that update and refreshes its content periodically. Point being for the game to generate money over time without needing the massive initial investment of a brand new game. Gaming companies have been chasing the concept since the advent of some of the first live service games, PC MMOs, some examples being RuneScape or WoW. However, in the case of console games, connectivity only became a major portion of the console with the PS3 and 360, the generation that introduced us to Borderlands and Destiny, along with several other less popular attempts. Looking at you, Define. However, the focus on live service increased during the PS4 and Xbox One generation due to game budgets inflating massively over increasing development times and larger dev team sizes, and coincided with the increased presence of microtransactions in games that really didn't need them. Looking at you, Ubisoft. After all, why would you spend 200 mil in 5 years on making a brand new game when you can just make an upgradable game that generates money over time instead of only at its inception? It can also make for a much safer investment for companies since a game's popularity is never guaranteed and live service elements can eventually push a game into profitability. In comes the live service game. The issue, they freaking suck for a bunch of reasons. So why is that? Why can't Dave, oh my god, fix that. Why can't devs just make a live service game good? Well, it starts from the structure. The blueprint for live service games on console is Borderlands, which is very tragic. So off the rip, you're dealing with the co-op, possibly open world to semi-open world experience with randomized gear as a reward for playing the game. The devs might throw in some different types of damage, a little corrosive here, a little blast damage there. You know, they gotta make the game seem deeper than it is. Instead, the game comes out looking like Marvel's The Destiny Division lands too. While that blueprint doesn't necessarily imply failure, the systems involved tend to be divisive among single-player and multiplayer gamers alike, especially because in a lot of those games, unlike Borderlands, the functions of the weapon or armor that drop don't fundamentally change your approach to the game. They're just a path to a higher number, like playing a clicker game. Realistically, what's the difference between Cookie Clicker and Gotham Knights? Plenty, but if I were a hater, I'd say they were the same shit. The problem with the live service blueprint is that instead of playing the game for fun, you're just playing endlessly, shooting or beating the shit out of basic enemies for higher numbers instead of cool unlocks or ability like in non-live service games, and that's only the half of it. Live service games also tend to be dog water from a technical perspective, trying to push a persistent open world while the whole system struggles with keeping track of all the tomfoolery several people are getting into is hard. Obvious thing is obvious. Usually this translates into two possibilities. Possibility number one, they cut down heavily on things like NPCs to free up processing cycles and simplify their world greatly. Looking at you, Borderlands. Possibility two, they let the system get eaten alive. Looking at you, Gotham Knights. In both situations, too much of the whole system's power is going towards syncing and keeping track of the world state, leaving less available for other gameplay features and physics. The last live service game weakness is in the gameplay design itself. Instead of crafting difficult and varied multi-stage boss battles with tons of great set pieces, you get a DPS check for 25 minutes on an enemy running the same 3-stage attack pattern. Beat on its weak points till it staggers, then beat on the staggered weak points. Low-tier gameplay design. Knowing all these things, does this mean that live service games can't be good? Well, honestly, no. Live service games can be good games, but the amount of thought and design that goes into every decision needs to be that much more deliberate to make up for it. Bosses can't just be DPS check. Weapon drops have to meaningfully alter the gameplay, and the actual game simulation shouldn't suffer for having the game be co-op. I think Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a good step in the right direction from what I've seen, and I'm hopeful that devs understand now that games like Anthem or Marvel's Avengers even could have been standouts if they didn't treat the players like zombies that'll just shoot something for 2 hours just cuz. This has been Matt Omega. Peace.